You are watching Destination Health. It's a show where Central Floridians from Osceola County to Flagler County and everywhere in between can learn about the wonders of the human body. Destination Health is dedicated to helping you live a healthier, quality life by keeping you informed on the latest health news and medical breakthroughs. And now, Destination Health.
Right now, more than 100,000 people are on the national transplant waiting list. 1 million more are suffering from blindness, medical conditions, or devastating illnesses that can be successfully treated through tissue transplantation. The next 28 minutes are dedicated to raising awareness to this important health crisis. We begin in Volusia County, where a fatal traffic accident is extending the lives of 5 more people.
This year she'll be graduating from high school. It's her senior year. Probably still playing softball. She loves softball.
I come in a room and walk around frequently and just look at her and it reminds me of the happy person and how she was loving life.
Larry and Lorna Mayday think of their daughter Kara quite frequently. Each day they're reminded of the traumatic event that happened a few miles from their Volusia County home during the summer of 2008.
She was coming home from the beach with her boyfriend, and there was an accident previous to their accident, and they tried to swerve to avoid hitting a car in front of them. They clipped that car, and a car spun around and clipped them and caused them to go into multiple rollover, and she was ejected out of the car.
We rushed out to the accident scene. Kara has already been airlifted. We come up on the accident and we seen the vehicle laying on its side and your heart just stops.
So then I called the operating room where I work at, and that's what I found out what her injuries were. Is my coworker telling me what they were going to do on my daughter, that she was going to have a craniotomy done. But the damage is so severe that we couldn't save her.
It's really hard to say what it does to you unless you have it had happen to you. It's just, the emotions are intense.
We know if she would have had her seatbelt on, this probably would never happen, but kids are kids. They're bulletproof sometimes, I think.
Overwhelmed by the sudden loss of their oldest daughter just 1 month shy of her 16th birthday, the Maydays were faced with a life-changing decision.
She asked about the donation of the organs. This is by all means. You know, we need to do something good with this negative situation. So it was our decision to make something good happen.
I work in the operating room. I'm the first assistant in surgery. So I have an idea of what is involved in these procedures. And that's why it was easier for me to make a decision.
The gift of life is a beautiful thing. You can't deny that to anybody. So we didn't want it to feel like, we didn't want to say no, or we couldn't even think of saying no. We just wanted to, like I say, give positive energy and something to the situation.
Their generous gift is extending the lives of 5 other people who were suffering from debilitating illnesses, all waiting for a second chance at life. Nearly 2 years later, Kara is living on through others.
We donated her heart, her lungs, 7 organs total. Heart, both lungs, kidneys, pancreas and liver, and I also did the skin because I've worked with burn patients before.
I started modeling, and other than that, this is the same. I have a new best friend, and her name is Hope.
We cry happy tears is what we call them, because it's hard to get a letter saying about your child, what's happening with them or where their organs went to, but it's kind of like, it's uplifting, but we still cry at the same time, because we're happy to know that because of her loss, she's able to give life to other people.
Put into people, and we have letters from them. We actually have a picture of one of the recipients from the heart. And in the picture shows her, and in the background it shows the picture of Kara that we sent her. So we do have the communication of basically writing, and they have pictures. We have not yet physically met and hope to someday do that. My wife just wants to put her ear and hear Kara's heart beating. It would be comforting.
Knowing that Kara's living on, other people really helps us. She didn't die in vain.
Understanding organ donation can make you feel better about your choice. If you've delayed your decision to become an organ donor, quite possibly because of inaccurate information, here's the correct answer to one of the most common organ donation myths. It is the leading cause of weather-related deaths in Central Florida. In fact, there are more lightning strikes here than in any other part of the United States. According to the National Weather Service, the odds are roughly 1 in 4 that you will be killed if lightning strikes you. A statistic Bianca Chappelle knows all too well.
It was a regular school day. It was August the 25th of 2004. And my daughter was on her way home from school with some other children. The bus let them off and they stopped at one of the children's home to get an umbrella because it started raining. They said it was like everything got white. They said they heard a crack and everything got white. They couldn't see anything. So when they came where they could focus again, my daughter and the other young lady were laying in the water. It was like over 100 lightning strikes in that particular area that day.
According to published reports, a lightning bolt hit the umbrella Bianca's 10-year-old daughter, Erica, was holding. Erica and her friend, Samantha Olivencia, were rushed to the hospital. Samantha recovered and went home the next day. Erica fell into a coma.
Basically was when they called us in to let us know that her condition, at that point she was being diagnosed as being brain dead.
Lightning strikes have a short duration lasting up to a few milliseconds. Most of the current from a lightning strike passes over the surface of the body in a process called external flashover. Look what it did to the sneakers Erica was wearing.
Her shoes were brand new shoes, but her shoes looked like they had been mauled by a dog. They were torn apart, brand new tennis shoes, and they had to cut her out of her clothes. I never saw the garments that she had on again. They had to discard them. An organization called Trans Life came in and asked us did we want to donate organs. I've been an organ donor since I was 16, so it just felt like the thing to do in her memory to donate her organs to try to save others' lives. I thought, what a wonderful way to commemorate someone who loved life so much.
Trans Life is East Central Florida's organ and tissue donor program. We were established in 1973 as the local organ donor program. And what that means is for all of the donor hospitals we serve, which is nearly 40, we facilitate the donation process. So we are literally that official link between donors and those awaiting transplantation.
Trans Life spokeswoman Leslie McMillan says even though there's a tremendous need for organ donation in the United States, less than 30% of Americans have signed up as donors. Some people fear they would not receive the same quality of care in the hospital if it is known that they are registered donors.
When you go to the hospital, they are there to save your life. That is their priority. And it's only after all efforts have been exhausted and a patient has been declared deceased that donation may be a possibility.
One organ donor could save up to 8 lives. Tissue donation can impact many more, from helping burn victims to giving people the gift of sight. As a result of Erica's precious gifts, 3 people are still alive today. Surgeons transplanted her liver, kidneys, and corneas.
The power of donation really can't be described in words. They're described in pictures. And you have them when you see a Bianca, who is a donor mom, who lost her daughter, and it's because she said yes to donation that she found some comfort. It provided a little glimmer of light
And I think that had it not been for that outlet to be able to share, to have the open door to let other people know that organ donating is so vital and important, and even though it's not the best situation, it could be a wonderful situation when you know you can affect someone else's life by giving life.
Perhaps it's Mother Nature's way of reminding Bianca that Erica was a special little girl.
She'll never kiss a boy. She will not go to her prom. I will not see her get married. She'll never be a mother, and she was a mothering type person, so she never experienced motherhood. Those are the things that go through my mind. I miss her very much.
According to the United Network for Organ Sharing, about 28,000 organ transplants were performed in the U.S. last year. Nearly 22,000 of these cases came from deceased donors. Imagine what it must be like to know that your loved one can only live if someone else passes away, sharing life through donation.
It's often been said a picture is worth 1,000 words. For Jacob Gowdy, those words include normal, happy, and healthy. The pride and joy of Billy and Ginger Gowdy, life couldn't get any better.
When he was 15 months old, he suddenly became jaundiced. They said he was in liver failure. So they transported him by ambulance to the University of Alabama at Birmingham, because we were in Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia at the time. And he was immediately listed for transplant. After about a week, he slipped into a partial coma.
In a matter of days, it seemed things couldn't get any worse. Doctors told the Gowdys their firstborn would likely die unless he received a new liver.
And because truly, you don't want anybody to die, but you're just so grief-stricken sitting there watching your baby fight for his life every single day that you're just praying for something, just something to happen. At that time, which was 13 years ago, they had just started doing the living donor transplants. And I am O positive in his blood match, but I was pregnant with my daughter. So we went through the gamut of, do I have an abortion so that I can, have to abort one child to save another? It's just an emotional roller coaster. And, but we said no, that was not an option, and we had family members tested, and time was just running out. The few members that were tested weren't a match, and we just were looking everywhere that we could to find somebody that could be a match for him so that they could do a living donor.
The medical team placed Jacob in surgical intensive care and at the top of the transplant list because he was gravely ill. Then on the 10th day after being admitted, they received the liver Jacob and his parents had been waiting for. The organ was donated by an unidentified 30-year-old man.
The great thing about liver is it grows. It's unlike other solid organs. Usually when the liver part of the liver is removed, about 80% of it will grow back within a couple of months.
We were constantly in the doctor's office having labs drawn, but he didn't spend a lot of time in the hospital. But as the years have gone on, it has been less and less, and now he only has to get lab work done every 6 months, and he hasn't been in the hospital since he was probably 9 or 10. And now he is just on one drug, which is an immunosuppressant.
Jacob is now your typical 14-year-old who likes to play and have fun with his friends at school.
And I always joke about it. Oh, I got bit by a shark when I was surfing one time. And they'd all laugh, and some people actually bought it. And I thought it was really funny, but then they're like, that can't be a shark bite. And I was like, yeah, I had surgery when I was 16 months old. And they're like, what kind of surgery? And I was like, a liver transplant. And most of them are always just like, well, what is that? And I was like, basically they took someone's liver, took mine out, and put someone else's in. And they just think it's really cool that I'm still here.
He is truly a joy to be around. While he is a 14-year-old boy, he is just a very special young man. He loves music. He sings, he plays the guitar, he's extremely talented, and he's very knowledgeable about his music. I guess as parents you adjust to what life gives you. And so we would adjust, but I can't imagine my life without him. He brings such joy to my life, and he brings such joy to his sister's life and his cousin's life and his dad's life, and there's so much laughter in this house, and a lot of that has to do with him. And I can't imagine him not being here.
Neither can Jacob, who says someday he would like to return the favor and help save at least one person's life.
But I still just thank God every day and I'll see those pictures, and that just reminds me of how great God is and how grateful I am. I would love to be an organ donor, because knowing that when I die, I'm helping somebody else and I could save so many lives, and I just think that's a blessing right there.
Only 2 treatments allow you to continue living when your kidneys stop functioning: dialysis and transplantation. Up next, we'll follow a dialysis patient and his living donor through the transplantation process from beginning to end.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning at Florida Hospital's Rapid In and Out unit in Orlando. A big day for Melbourne resident Dan Fosfit.
In 2005, I learned I was going to need another transplant sooner than I thought.
The 32-year-old is undergoing his second kidney transplant in 10 years. Dan had IgA nephropathy, a kidney disorder in which a type of antibodies called IgA abnormally build up in kidney tissue.
They did a biopsy on my transplanted kidney, which is they put it in your abdomen cavity, and said that I was down to 20% function, that if there was ever another rejection episode or any other issue, it would decrease the function low enough to where it wouldn't be viable.
Dan's father came to the rescue by giving him one of his kidneys when Dan was 22. This time, the living donor is Henry Block.
I met Henry at a Galleys First Baptist about a year ago.
We both are in small groups, which I think we both enjoy and get a lot out of that.
And it was a nice guy, we just hit it off.
Their new relationship would form a special bond just 6 months later.
It was October 17th of 2009. I remember that because it was opening season of deer hunting. So I asked Henry if he wanted to go.
And I said, you know what, that sounds awesome. I've always wanted to do that. Never even shot a gun, but sounds like fun. I'd love to go.
It was the first morning when we went out. I think we were sitting there like 20 minutes.
So, all of a sudden I saw a couple doe, and my heart started racing.
All of a sudden I hear him shoot, and I seen the thing run out and just drop. And we were going crazy, like, holy cow, I can't believe that, stuff like that. On the way home, he was like, hey, if you need someone to give you a kidney, I'll give you mine. Real casual. And me, I'm like, well, I don't want to have to ask that from someone. But I was just like, okay. And it went from there.
It's now 5:45. Dan is taken to triage where he'll get prepped for surgery. His wife, Crystal, provides the support only a wife can provide.
I'm really nervous because I know what's going to happen because I did it before.
The nurse then calls Henry. He too is a little nervous.
I looked at a couple kidney transplants on YouTube to try and understand where they're going to be going while I'm not awake. In a way, it's almost like taking a trip. There's some nerves involved. There's some excitement. There's, it's a lot of emotions rolled into one.
Now at 7:30, they're going to take Henry in to start his procedure. And the surgeon said about an hour or so after they start Henry, they're going to start me.
By 7:30, the area is filled with family and friends from their church.
We have a saying at our church. It's called doing life together. And that's a big mission statement for us.
I feel that this was bigger than us. I feel that, our Savior had a part in this, that I'm supposed to do this, that I might have been born with this kidney, but this is Dan's kidney, that I've just been holding on to it for him, and he can have it now.
Henry is taken to the operating room soon after. Dr. Dmitry Nikitin will use tiny probes and a camera to do the single incision laparoscopic donor nephrectomy. The procedure takes 2 to 3 hours.
It's got to take a special kind of person, especially after talking to the doctors on Tuesday, to do something like this. And he would said, you know, I feel this is the right thing for me to do, that I've been called to do this, and I think it's amazing. And I mean, I couldn't ask for a better friend than that.
The big moment Dan's been waiting for has finally arrived. It'll be Dr. Bobby Nipinapudi who will transplant the new kidney. If all goes well, Dan will be off dialysis.
He's from a totally different background than I am. His ancestors came from different areas than mine did. But we obviously are able to share parts. I mean, that's, that's pretty amazing, I think.
After his surgery, Dan will have 4 kidneys in his body. The 2 he was born with, the one his father gave him 10 years ago, and Henry's.
The normal kidneys are way in the back behind the rib cage. To try and take those out would be a major operation. And so we don't take those out unless it's absolutely necessary. In very, very few people it is necessary because they have infections or they have bleeding or pain. So what we do then is we put the transplant kidney way down here in the pelvis.
By 12:30, Dan and Henry are in recovery. You can imagine how relieved loved ones were to hear both surgeries were successful. Dan and Henry were discharged several days later.
Actually, I got Henry a t-shirt. It's, you want to know what it says? It says, I donated my left kidney and all I got was a stupid t-shirt.
Now, you know, I feel that I've gained another brother, and, you know, I feel special to be able to partake in something like this.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. And I know I'm going to have a friend for life.
Updating your donation status is as easy as going to your nearest DMV and registering as a donor. In fact, it can even be done online in some states. We leave you now with the feel-good story of a daughter who gave her mother the best Mother's Day present ever, the gift of life.
She was born June 1st, 1979 at 5:53 p.m., I'll never forget it, in Los Angeles. And I always wanted one child, and I wanted a girl. She's just a loving, very kind, and she's 30 years old and still single. Why, I don't know, but the Lord knows.
Let's stick to the kidney.
But she's just a blessing. By the time she got 5, I was rushed to the hospital. My kidneys had completely failed. Thank God I made it through that. Out of the hospital in 8 days. So went on, but every year after that Mother's Day weekend, every year after that for 8 years, I had renal failure.
You know, I knew something was wrong. I knew Mom was sick. So having to, as I grew up and having to just deal with that, you know, it took a toll on me. You don't want to see like your mom, who's like the strongest person in your life, just down and weak.
And in 1996, after having renal failure again, my doctor said, no more, you've got to go on dialysis. Well, I was devastated. I knew nothing about dialysis.
Being on dialysis took time away from time that we could spend together. It just consumed her life. We couldn't plan trips, or if we did, she had to call ahead and see if there was a dialysis center there.
It's hard to go into a dialysis center and see 50 people hooked up to a machine and their blood being filtered, and you know you develop relationship with people, and you know that you may go in there the next treatment and that person has gone on, and I don't mean home, they've passed away.
I was 23 years old when I decided that I wanted to give my mom my kidney. My grandmother had recently passed away, and I just could not take losing another dear, close family member.
She got tested. They were so excited. They said, we've never seen such a match before for a mother and a daughter.
And so that was just confirmation for me that this is what I needed to do. And then I felt like, you know, this is what I was born to do. You know, this is finally my way to give back to my mom, because she's dedicated her life to, you know, being a single mom and
now I could do something for her. So I was just ready to do it.
It's funny because, like I said, for 8 years on Mother's Day, I was sick in the hospital. And they said, well, we can do it May 12th, and this is 2006. Well, that was Mother's Day weekend.
I remember them wheeling me into the surgery room, and I'm thinking, oh God, somebody stop them. I'm not out yet. They're gonna start cutting on me. The